Next up, we have once again Peter Ng, founder of BlockchainSpace, one of the co-presenters of this festival, to present a keynote on guild infrastructure and what to expect as the industry continues to evolve. Let's all welcome Peter Ng, founder of BlockchainSpace and one of the co-presenters of the festival, to present a keynote on guild infrastructure and what to expect as the industry continues to evolve.
Good afternoon. How is everyone? Let's do a little test of the audience. How many of you are hungover from last night? Hands up. That's not enough. That means they didn't arrive. They're probably still suffering from last night. I hope you guys are enjoying the conference. My name is Peter Ng. I'm the founder of BlockchainSpace. We are the co-presenters together with YGG of Philippines Web3 Festival. It's awesome to be able to welcome you all to the Philippines and showcase the Philippines ecosystem, of which we are a part of it. I'm going to be talking today about guild infrastructure. Hands up to those of you that actually knows what BlockchainSpace does. Hands up if you know what BlockchainSpace does. Yeah, very few. Okay, let's address this, because yeah, we need to talk about this. All right. So you guys will remember the Axie Infinity phenomenon, right? In 2020, right, Axie went from 800 players or 800 wallets up to 3 million wallets in 2021 in July, right? Crazy, crazy boom, right? But a lot of you probably are wondering, like, how did that happen? How was that achieved, right? And so we probably look back and we remember these two things, right? So we remember the article that went viral. Everyone talked about that CoinDesk article, right? That one of our colleagues over there, I think she's in the background somewhere, Leah. But Leah wrote this article and it basically circulated the world, right? And then they followed up and they did this documentary about play to earn and about, you know, what was happening, what was driving all this growth into Axie Infinity and the opportunity for people to earn in games, right? But was that the only driver of all this growth, right? We did the digging, so that's what BlockchainSpace does, right? We went into the data analytics, we did the digging. And so we created the world's largest global guild database. Now, you guys heard about guilds earlier. You probably didn't hear enough emphasis on guilds. You know YGG is a guild, Yield Guild Games, right? But you're probably thinking, what are guilds? Like, and someone from Longhash just earlier was talking about guilds as a distribution network in Web3. And I think that's a very, very interesting point, right? So whilst we built the world's largest global guild database, right? We were able to map out 23,967 guilds around the world. And you're probably thinking, how is that even possible, right? Because, like, by definition, like, people are thinking, like, guilds in the traditional sense, especially from the esports world, you're thinking huge, huge communities of, like, really competitive esports players. However, the kind of, like, the guilds that we're dealing with now in Web3, they're different. They actually have a completely different definition. They're actually, we think of them as Web3 communities, right? We dug into the data, into the 23,967 guilds, right? And we found this out. And this, a lot of people don't know this. We basically debunked this kind of like this growth statistic, right? So we found out that 97% of guilds are actually what you would consider to be micro. What does that mean? So those micro guilds are actually around 10 to 100 people in a server, on an online server, right? Like Discord, right? And there's only 2% in that mid-tier, and then there's only 1% in that macro tier, right? So a lot of you will probably know like the YGGs, the avocado guilds, the merit circles, right? The really big ones, the ones that have really big treasuries, the ones that are able to like, you know, afford really big PR, right, and get their name out. But a lot of you won't know about these micro guilds, which actually contributed 97% of that growth for that 3 million players that went into Axie Infinity, right? And each of these different categories, they all have different pain points. So these guild networks, right, the different types of guilds, there's a lot of them. This is nowhere near, as you've seen, like, this is nowhere near comprehensive, but there's a lot of them out there. And they all do different things. So if we think about guilds as Web3 communities, right, now you can think about, okay, some will be competitive in esports, some will be actually focusing on content creation, some will be focusing on other kind of like activities to onboard people into Web3. Remember, we think of guilds as Web3 distribution network. So we see guilds as this, right? And I think a lot of you guys, let's see a show of hands. How many of you guys know about the Axie Infinity scholarship model? Show your hands. Yeah, there's a lot of people. Right. So the Axie Infinity scholarship model was actually one of the first iterations of a business model run by a guild, right? And we actually think of guilds as digitally native businesses of the open metaverse. These businesses actually have the same kind of challenges as any other business in the traditional world, right? So you think about it like, okay, I'm running a business. I've got 100 people in my community. I don't know what they're doing. I can't monitor all of these people. I need to have some kind of performance management to be able to monitor them. I need to be able to pay people out. Remember, if you remember in the scholarship model, that 70-30 split, right? If I'm doing that for 100 accounts, that's a lot of payroll that I've got to automate. Then I've got to do asset management. Asset management in this sense is like, sending, Axie characters around or game characters around. And then you've got to do treasury management. Do I hold my money in USDC? Do I hold it in, AXS, SLP, or any other token? And I've got to do accounting. I've got to be able to pay taxes at the end of the year. And I've obviously got to do community management. There's at least 100 people in my server. So that's what BlockchainSpace does, right? We actually treat guilds as businesses, and we provide the software, the infrastructure for people to run their guilds like businesses. So we provide these kind of guild management services where you can do performance management, payroll services, asset management, treasury management, accounting, community management. We want to be able to see people treat guilds like a real business, right? We want to see like in-game earnings or earnings in the metaverse being real, right? We want to be able to see you using it in real life, right? So that's why we created a mobile app as well, where you can track all the earnings that you're making online, and then you should be able to spend it with merchants in the future. So you can see your live balances, spending game earnings, do portfolio tracking and manage your assets. In order to help the guilds to grow, right, it's a very nascent time. So the industry really, really requires a lot of data. And so we've been digging into that data. If you guys remember, we built the largest global guild database of the world, but then we also started tracking kind of like the GameFi industry as a whole, right? That includes the games, the guilds, or the ecosystem players, the infrastructure players, all the different tokens that are associated. That's what you can access through us. So I guess you guys already know why guilds are kind of important, but there are a couple more things that you've got to think of them as why they're so important as a distribution network. Right? The number one thing is education. And I've just been speaking about this with other people all around the conference, right? We still have this problem where crypto is still too technical, right? So if you think about it, when people come into, even if you're going into a computer game, you've still got to open up a crypto wallet, right? And with that crypto wallet means you've got to understand what seed phrases are, right? And how you store seed phrases. It's still technical. How do you make transactions? What is gas, right? All of that stuff is done through education. And that's what we realized, that all these micro communities, these micro guilds, what they were doing to be able to spread education in the Philippines was create these micro communities like between relatives, colleagues, and help them understand this is a wallet, this is how you make a transaction. The second part is onboarding, right? So once you understand how to do it, you still need to understand like how to interact with those Web3 apps, right? So to be able to participate in esports tournaments, you need to understand like game mechanics of the game itself, right? You need to understand how does season 1 work? How does season 21 differ? What's the difference with all these different MMRs and how do I upgrade my assets and so on, right? So the onboarding part is still really, really important, and that's what guilds do. So for us, right, we've understood that guilds are going to play a really, really important role in the proliferation of Web3 in general. They're going to be the ones to educate. They're going to be the ones to onboard people into Web3. And this isn't just happening in the Philippines. This is happening globally, all four corners of the world. So what we realized is that, you know, not every guild is going to be a great guild, right? As you guys know, you meet different communities, right? Not every community is a community that you want to work with. So what's really important is actually to be able to verify and legitimize the communities that you do want to work with. How do I know that this particular community focuses on this particular aspect? So are they focusing on content creation or are they focusing on esports, right? So we're about to launch, and we're in the middle of launching guildhub.io, right? And my colleague Jen, who's out there in the audience, she's our GM for GuildHub, she'll be talking about this tomorrow, right? So GuildHub's purpose is actually to legitimize guilds, to treat them as, real businesses and real communities that people can actually verify, to be able to see reputational history. I want to be able to see, okay, how long have you been a guild? What are you involved in? What's your reputation history look like? So I'm going to stop there. I'm not going to give too many leaks. Guildhub.io, the product launch is tomorrow. I would love to have you all there and understand GuildHub even better. Thank you. My name is Peter Ng, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Peter Ng.